Hey guys, and welcome to my May and June wrap-up. I have been very precise and on time when it comes to uploading my wrap-ups and TBRs because they're actually my favorite type of videos. They might even win over book hauls, and I just love making them, and I love talking about the books that I've been reading because I generally don't have the time to make full-on fledged reviews of books. But I've mentioned this before, I'm graduating at the end of August, hopefully beginning of September, so I'm currently writing my thesis for my master's defense, which I'm hoping will be at the end of August. I'm also been writing up my resume, and I'm hoping to start looking for jobs, so it's been very hectic. Also with Ramadan now, my nights have turned into days just because I'm writing and I can't write while I'm fasting. I can't read while I'm fasting, but when I'm not fasting, I'm usually writing or relaxing because you kind of feel tired after you eat. So the past 2 months have not been that great in terms of my reading and blogging and booktubing. So I'm really sorry guys for not being able to be as active as I used to. So I thought I would still make this video. Funny thing is that most of the books in this wrap up are books I just gave away, or books I borrowed from the library, or books I borrowed from friends. So you're not going to be seeing a lot of physical books in this video. I'm actually going to go in chronological order just because I don't have a lot of the books anyways. And the first book that I was reading was Blood Promise by Rochelle Mead. This is the fourth book in the Vampire Academy series. As you can see right here, this book is actually currently with Lubna, and she's currently reading it, so I don't have the book with me. And I gave this book 3.5 out of 5 stars actually. Halfway through, I grew really bored and tireless of the whole, what's his name, Dimitri and Rosa scenario. Ugh. Next, I ended up reading The Fill-In Boyfriend by Casey West. I was really feeling down when the book came out and I had the chance to pick it up, so I'm just gonna pick it up and read it. And I read it in a single night, and it was glorious and beautiful and definitely Casey West signature style. I'm really happy I read it, and I definitely gave it 5 out of 5 stars. It was the cutest thing ever. I then picked up a review book, and it was Sweet by Emmy Laybourne. Again, I don't have this book because I ended up giving it away because I did not like it. One thing that's going to be recurring in this video is that I did not like a lot of the books that I was reading, which didn't really help my case in terms of not having time, because usually when you're reading a book you don't make time for. So Sweet, man, that book was not good at all. Even though I really liked Emmy Laybourne's series, the trilogy that she wrote, Monument 14, this book was not great. It read very childish, immature in terms of the characters, the writing, the romance. I ended up giving this book I skimmed through most of this book, so I gave it a 1 or 2 stars. The next book is actually, the first one that I actually have a physical copy of. I was actually giving away this book, but no one picked it up, so it's Not a Drop to Drink by Mindy McGinnis. This is supposedly a post-apocalyptic survival novel. I label it as undefined, unknown, confused, doesn't know what it wants to be. So, this book, man, I think I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. I'm not really sure. The next book that I read is finally a book that I partially enjoyed, and it's Psych Major Syndrome by Alicia Thompson, a book about a girl in university, and she's a psychology major, and typical girl stuff, problems, guy, boyfriend issues. And I think I ended up giving this one 3.5 out of 5 stars. It was enjoyable compared to all the other books that I've read up to that point. I then picked up another review book, and it was Daughter of Deep Silence by Carrie Ryan. I really had high hopes for this one because it sounded a lot like Revenge the TV show, which I love. So I had high expectations of it. Unfortunately, it did not deliver in the least bit. Just when I feel oh yeah, we're getting down into the scheming and the lying and the problems and the cheating, turned out, oh wait, I'm chickening out because I think I love the son of the man who ruined my life and killed my parents. But you know what? I love him, so who cares about him killing my parents? She's definitely not a dutiful daughter in the least bit. Hate how... Also another thing that I really hate in YA books, a lot. That's why I don't read YA mysteries anymore. And it is that if the main protagonist is out to get revenge at that someone, by the end of the book, that someone is apparently not the evil person, and he or she turned evil just in the eyes of the main protagonist just because of a stupid misunderstanding, and then they live happily ever after. No. This does not pass with my reading. I want books like Gone Girl, The Girl on the Train, Into the Darkest Corner, the books where it's not the happily ever after. That's the only time I'm happy reading a mystery thriller murder book. So that didn't fly by me. Ended up giving it a 2 star I think that seems to be the general consensus to all of the books that I've read recently. The next book is the first book that I actually gave 5 out of 5 stars, and it is World After by Susan E., the second book in the Angel Fall trilogy. As you can see here, I have the third one with me. I can't wait to read it. I love this one so much. It was so good. Glorious after so much disappointment. Definitely the perfect Angel series. Another Angel series that I definitely recommend is the Refam series by Paula Weston. This is just as good, and that one's just as good and gruesome. Maybe this is a little bit more gruesome. I hate gore, but I still love this book so much as series, and I can't wait to read more about Penryn and Rafe. So excited. Then the good books keep on coming. I picked up P.S. I Still Love You by Jenny Han. I picked this up the day I bought it. It was really good. It was cute. 4 out of 5 stars. Unfortunately, it was a bit of a disappointment compared to All the Boys I've Loved Before. Not because I had high expectations, but because I felt that the conflict of the book seemed not up to par to how it was into All the Boys I've Loved Before or like any other contemporary. It seemed like a very typical contemporary with a typical storyline. I really wish there was more. Also, Peter, the main guy, seemed a little different from how he was in the first book. I felt like he had sort of like a personality change in a sense. But I still ended up enjoying this one. The next book I read is the last book that was actually good. And then ever since then, I've had really crappy luck with books. So this marks the last book in the golden age of reading for me. And it is The Knockoff by Lucy Sykes and Joe Piazza. I really like this book. This was a really fun, non-romance, just like pure fun chick lit. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. And it talks about a woman who had to take a leave, like 6 months to a year leave from the magazine she was running because she had breast cancer. So she's like a 30 or 40-year-old woman, and she basically holds, the editor-in-chief of Glossy magazine. But when she comes back, she finds out that her previous assistant now runs a very also high position at that company, and she's trying to make the magazine into an app. And she's kind of like butting heads with the main protagonist here, but in a very stealthy, sneaky, snaky way. And I really liked seeing how like she just put up with it, and like in the end she gave her what she deserved. I just love that so much. This is what I love, when the bad guy stays the bad guy and does not turn into a good guy, except for Warner, because that is acceptable. But I really enjoyed this one. 4 out of 5 stars. Now moving on to the disappointments. There's literally 6 disappointments in here, guys. 6 books. The first one will come as a surprise. I'm sorry ahead of time. That book is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I know, I hear the gasps all the way here. Did not like this book a lot. A 3 star? 2.5 now that I think about it. I felt really restless reading this book. Like, I was not happy reading this book at all. Did not like the main guy, did not like the girl. Her family treated her like crap, and she just took it in just because of a promise from her mother. Let's be real, you were a kid. Also really hated the guy, felt like the romance was way too insta-lovey and like convenient. The stupid revelation was like the only okay thing about the book. No offense, I just think it's stupid. It does not have to be stupid. Subjectively, it is to me. And the thing that happened in the end is the only like exciting thing, like the last 100 pages, and even that I was kind of like skimming through a couple things. Will not be picking up the sequel for sure, so yes, there's that. Then I read Heat of the Moment by Lauren Barnholt. I borrowed that from the library, and I'm glad I did. I was really excited for this companion series. There's Heat of the Moment, and then there's 2 other books at the same time, but from the other 2 ex-best friends. And I thought it was going to be enjoyable, and the story sounded really cool. The whole senior class took a school trip to Florida, and it sounded really cute, but there's some cheating involved, and it seemed a bit immature, and I don't know, I just didn't really like it, but it was enjoyable. I don't know how to think of that. It sounded really weird, like those two don't come together, that I didn't like it, but it was enjoyable. But that's how I felt reading this book. And I ended up giving this like a 3 or a 2.5 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read and DNF'd is The Truth and Other Lies by Sasha Arango. So this is a adult mystery thriller that I thought I was going to enjoy because it's an adult mystery thriller, so the bad guy is going to stay as the bad guy. But the book is only like 250 pages, and I was over 100 pages, and nothing that the synopsis did not say happened. So it's like, when am I getting to the exciting part? Also, the writing felt a bit awkward in that literally every paragraph would skip to another POV, and I couldn't really keep up, and I was confused, and I just didn't really enjoy it. So I ended up passing this book along to a blogger who might actually enjoy it. The next book that I read is The Summer of Chasing Mermaids by Sarah Ockler. I was unbelievably excited for this book. I see all the new reviews, and everyone's raving about it. Everyone's loving it, and I'm like, I should buy it. And then I look at the price, and it's like $23, and I'm like, God, I don't have the money for this right now. Like, I'm trying not to waste money on books because I have so many books. I'm like, okay, the library has it, which is surprising because it's a new release, and I'm like, I might read it, and if I like it, I'll buy it. Thank God I didn't buy it. I was not a fan. There was too many descriptive paragraphs, not enough dialogue. Obviously, the girl can't speak. I get that. Sea of Tranquility, girl does not speak for over half the book. I can read the half of the book, the first half, multiple times, back to back, and not get tired of it, and not skip a single line. And I've done that, by the way. I've read that book more than once. I did not skip a single line. There's a difference. So people go like, oh, you just want dialogue? No, I want engrossing, interesting paragraphs, even without the dialogue. Unfortunately, it did not happen in this book, and I grew really tired halfway, ended up skimming through it, and in the end, I'm like, okay, whatever, I'm done with it, and I ended up giving this one a 2 out of 5, I think. Speaking of more disappointing books, I read Attachments by Rainbow Rowell. I was planning on buying that book from Book Outlet, but my friend had a copy and she wanted to read it, so I ended up borrowing it from the library yet again. I DNF'd the book. I'm sorry, guys. I love Rainbow Rowell. I love Fangirl. I love Eleanor Park so much. It holds like a very like special place in my heart. But I could not get into Attachments. I thought the guy was creepy. He got creepier when he kept on reading the messages and like ended up going to her like desk and like, I don't know, sniffing or whatever. It wasn't interesting. The conversation between the two women was not interesting in the least bit. And I'm like, why am I reading this? So I ended up DNFing it. My friend ended up telling me the ending. And I'm like, well, thank God I didn't end up continuing to read it because that was a waste of my time. Another book I'm glad I didn't buy. The last book that I read in this month, and the last disappointing book that I read this month, is An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. I borrowed this book from Giselle. Again, I'm glad I borrowed it and did not buy it. Another book I ended up DNFing. There are 3 DNFs this month. And no, it's not because I have so much stuff to do. My tolerance for, I was gonna say crappy books, but what I'm gonna say is just books that I am not enjoying has lessened so much that I feel like, why am I wasting my time with a book that I know I'm not gonna give higher than a 3-star if I can just like forget about it and then pick something else that has a potential to be a 4 or a 5-star. So that's why halfway through, I was like, I can't do it. I'm not enjoying this. I'm not going to like it. I know I'm not going to give it more than 3 stars. What's the point? This is a time when I'm questioning a lot of things. The reason why I didn't like this book so much is because initially I did like it. I really liked the whole rebels and the kingdom and like the assassins or the mask people and things like that, and like the boarding school setting. Funnily enough, some people have been comparing it to Harry Potter, and I feel like that's very offensive to me as a Harry Potter fan because this is nothing like Harry Potter. And I was okay. It took a while for her to go to the school, which is written in the synopsis, and work and like spy for them as a slave. She obviously has no spying skills whatsoever. And it's like, it kind of reached that mundane spot where like, we're just going through the motion of her going every day, and like, I hate the romance. I hate the romance so much. I hate how the guy's like, I can't stop thinking about her, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you met her once, guy. Come on. You can't call this love. They go through the trials then, and like the trials themselves, I thought they were going to make such a bigger deal about it because it reminds me of the Triwizard Tournament in like Harry Potter, which like took up the whole freaking book, right? And that excited me so much. I'm like, yes, finally, action, good stuff. No, neither. So I'm like, this is not going to redeem itself anytime soon. So these are all the books that I read for the past 2 months. I'm sorry if I like sent negativity towards you guys because A lot of these books are books that I didn't end up enjoying and I feel bad about it, but what can I do? So I hope to see you guys in my next video, and bye!